ready, we can start. Kamales, I don't know where you started. Perhaps we could begin with asking you about your background. What led you where you are today? What your driving motivation to become to be a woman are you are today? Okay. Kamales, again we try. I will repeat my question now. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. All right, we're back.
So I don't know where to start. Perhaps we could begin with asking you about your background. What led you where you are today? What your driving motivation to become to be a woman you are today?
Definitely. Should I start straight away?
Yeah, welcome.
All right, good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be here. If I can share a little bit about my background, I am originally Malaysian, and I've lived and worked in Europe for over 18 years now, and I'm located here in Zurich, Switzerland. My background really is in technology development. So I have a basic degree in computing and information systems, where I learned programming, coding, and very tech background, basically. And I entered into the consulting field. My very first position was with Accenture, or Anderson Consulting back then. And I found my passion, basically. This was where I realized that I had a talent for technology implementation and business advisory. And I've been in this space for over 23 years now. I've worked with companies across the globe, across different regions and industries. And I've been in organizations such as Deloitte. I was the head of Deloitte Digital in Switzerland, as well as running my own company for over 10 years. And I think the thing that drives me is the technology industry is extremely dynamic. It's ever-changing. It's developing at such a fast pace. And I do have the opportunity to engage with people, companies, and cultures from across the world. And this really is very exciting for me. I'm also a keynote speaker. So I've spoken at over 250 events across the globe. And I am a teaching fellow, and I have various board positions and different activities. And so I can't say that I'm bored. I'm definitely very excited about the work that I do.
Bravo. You told one very important word, passion. Yesterday I make one event in Marbella, and many lady asked me how to start. And always I say, has two ways, male and female. Male way, usually when you're oriented on money, on result, you want to be the best of the best, you have a lot of ambition. Female way, which you are follow because you look very feminine, doesn't matter, just 23 years in technology world and you're so successful, you continue to be a very feminine woman. And I always say that way and key to go in feminine energy, it's to find your passion and to do what you really like to do. And it's to be your target. Money, success, it came after. But in the beginning, if you don't like what you do, you cannot be successful. I agree with this.
I agree with the passion part. I think there is a need for people to find their passion and their talents and really understand, what drives you, what gets you excited about waking up in the morning and going into doing a job that, you do spend a majority of your time at, right? And I was quite lucky that I did find my passion almost by chance in the mid-90s when I started getting into computing and technology. I think this was something that I was not aware of before that. And once I got into it with my first degree, it was really exciting for me. And I've stayed with that over the years. I'm also very ambitious. So I wouldn't say that it is something that is masculine or feminine, or men go in a certain direction, women go in another direction. The one thing I've learned over the years working with companies across the globe, especially working with leadership teams as well, it's very much an individual thing, right? Every individual has to determine for themselves what their passion is, what their goal is, and go for it. And just because you are a certain gender or a certain person from a certain cultural background or whatever it is, it shouldn't stop you. It shouldn't be a limitation. And this is something I truly believe in. The power of, there's a limitless capability and an abundant capability for each and every individual. This is something that I teach as well to leadership teams when I do coaching and, digital mindset coaching and strategic coaching. It's really around looking at abundance, right? Anything is possible. There is a limitless, abundant opportunity in the world. There isn't a limitation. There should be only one woman on a board or one woman in leadership or whatever that may be. Everything is possible, and you have to set your mind to it and go after that. And the only limitation that is available is the limitation that you set for yourself in your own mind and your own beliefs. And if you can break that, you can pursue pretty much anything that you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, very true. All limitation inside us. For this psychologist like me, we have work every time because we help people to break this limitation. How your personal relationship drive you forward? What has been their best influence on you?
This is absolutely important, and it's something that I've learned over the years. I've been married for 17 years now to the same man. So I think it's lessons that I can bring. We've been through thick and thin. We've been through a lot of different things together. We're also from different cultural backgrounds. I'm Malaysian Indian. He's Swiss, and he's a white male, basically. And I think the interesting thing about it is you have to speak to each other up front. And I'm not sure if everyone does this, perhaps they do. It was a lesson that I learned. You have to convey to each other what your professional goals are, what your ambitions are. And you have to talk about this at a very early stage of commitment, because it does set the scene for how you're going to build that path together. Right? This is a partnership, and in any partnership, whether it's organizational partnerships or if it's personal partnerships, you need to set the scene and set expectations for one another. So we understood very early on that we both were very ambitious, and what that meant for family life, what that meant for the time that we could spend with each other and where we lived and how we lived, what kind of commitments we could take on, and the kinds of decisions that you have to make together as a partner. The partner that you pick in your life makes a huge difference to your personal ambitions and your personal professional goals, because that is the person that's going to have your back and support you in while you chase after what you want to have, or while you try to attract what you want to have in your life. Particularly for women, because when you decide to go into parenthood, when you decide now it's time to have a family and extend your family, it is quite challenging to have both a career and a family life at the same time. And you need to have, you're not an island, you need to have a support structure around that's going to ensure that you can continue reaching the goals that you want to reach. So my advice really would be for anyone who's in a relationship to have those open conversations about what you think you want to achieve, how that aligns with each other's goals. Obviously, if there's an alignment, it's great. If there's not an alignment, then how do you ensure that each person in that relationship can achieve the goals at the same time?
I absolutely agree with you. Yesterday, I spoke a lot with a very successful lady who say how to manage to have a marriage and family, because when you have children, you're totally right. If you're both ambitious, it's not possible to be without support, without help. I have one son 4 years old, and we have babysitter from the first day, because otherwise we cannot both to do what we are doing and to develop yourself. I don't know about you, how you solve this situation. And of course, you need to follow your energy. For example, as women who likes to be mother and to stay home, in this case, you must follow your energy. It's not like obligation. Not all women must work. You need to feel where is your passion. Maybe your passion to stay home. It's also working. But it's very important a partner close to you to inspire you and to support you how you are. And my congratulations from this long marriage. You're a very good example on this. You're a successful strategic and technology advisor, author, and keynote speaker. How do you manage this without neglecting yourself and your femininity? It's a very important question, because very often women who become to be successful, they already not a women, they lost femininity. How you keep it? How you have both?
I think the important element is the tech industry does tend to be perceived as a very masculine industry or very male-driven. It is very male-driven. And I think one of the biggest challenges that I had to address for myself, and I started to really look at what my personal style was, or what my personal preferences were. So obviously, being in the tech industry since the 90s, a lot has changed over the years. I grew up in my professional life within a space where companies and advisors were always very masculine or male-driven in that sense. There were more men than women, obviously, around me. And I grew up within this professional environment where the masculine capabilities were appreciated within the corporate environment. This was very traditional kind of capabilities. So directive, being very tough and strong. And I recently wrote an article in Forbes about this, this perception that I grew up with in my professional life, where there was a certain type of leader that could succeed. But over the years, what I've realized, especially being now, I'm 45 this year, and going through the years and getting older, I realized very much that I needed to find my own style. I am a feminine person, but I'm also a very strong feminine person. So I can exist within an environment that can be quite tough. I had a position recently where I was one of 2 women in the entire leadership team, and all of my direct reports were men. It was a very, very tough environment to be in. There was quite a lot of gaslighting, conscious and unconscious bias, mansplaining, and there was a constant demand on me to prove myself and to make myself, to kind of live up to certain expectations that were unfairly placed on a person like me. I find these types of things to be just noise, because I've grown to understand what my capabilities are, what my leadership style is. And I'm very confident about my capabilities in my professional life, as well as the type of person and the values that I believe in. So I would really say in today's business environment, it's very, very important to understand who you are as a person and what your values are, what you believe in, what your purpose is. And that takes a certain amount of self-transformation, going into yourself, understanding yourself, and being comfortable and accepting that. And that creates a certain strength that no matter what environment you're in, you can still move forward and achieve what you want to achieve. And so this helped me quite a bit, because even though I was in a very tough environment, I was not fazed by it, because I was quite tough about, I know who I am and I'm comfortable with that. And I'm not going to, be moved by the petty kind of movements around me. So this, I think, would be my advice for anyone. And to be very honest with you, it's not something that, and I'm very appreciative of the fact that not everyone can be so comfortable in tough environments like that. So you need to understand also your limitations. Self-care is a big part of it. You need to take time out for yourself, take time out to understand when something is too much stress, when something is too much pressure. What do I need to do to relieve that? What do I need to do to make sure that I'm healthy inside as well? So this is a key element, making sure that you understand yourself, you understand your style and your limitations, and where you need to draw the line or set boundaries for one another. And so I have to say, I'm proud that I was able to do that, or I've reached this level, but it wasn't something that just comes overnight. It's a journey. And wherever you are in that journey, appreciate yourself for going through that, because it can be quite tough.
It's true. It's totally true. It's a way when we do it. It's not so easy. I create the biggest company from Balkan countries for women. And when Forbes invited me to take interview how the most successful coach and creator, I was very young when I created my company. I remember how difficult it's, how tough is it, and how much I work for this. It's nothing like came to you and you just wake up and become to be strong or successful or to do something. And I have 2 times burnout when I see it's too much for me. Be sure you also pass this period. I don't believe it has some very successful women who not pass this. One time it's happened, and then you need to change something in your life. After I make many changes, I start to work less. I start to spend more time with myself. I developed a lot of my hobby. And women must never to forget that work, it's not all. because sometimes women lost this balance and say, I must work, I must be the best. And also, very often we try to approve our fathers, mothers, see, I am good enough. Very often in many countries, father prefer to have a son, and if it's not son, it's daughter. You say, father, see, I am not worse than son, I am better than him, and I can do this and this and this. And many times in my therapy, when I did with clients, when we stop to approve on father, suddenly women say, I don't want to work so much, or I don't want to spend my time. I want to have time with my child, with my friends. It's fantastic sometimes how we make it from compensation of childhood trauma. And we need always to see this balance exactly.
Natalia, I think you hit a really good point there. And I have to admit, the early parts of my career, I did spend a lot of time trying to prove that I was good enough, trying to fit into environments that I may or may not have needed to be in. It was very effective in driving me forward in my professional life. But as I got older, I started to realize that this was, extremely stressful environments to be in within myself, always wanting to prove something and making an assessment about what should I really be going after, what my own personal goals are, what I accept of myself and what I should portray to others. This also came because I have a daughter, and I wanted to demonstrate to her that you have to be understanding of yourself. You have to be your own strongest advocate, right? There's enough challenges out in the world. You don't need to challenge yourself as well. So you have to be your own best friend, your own strongest advocate, and really understand what are the best environments for me? What are my capabilities? Why am I pursuing something? And I think these elements are really, really important because I want to show her a better way to be and make sure that she's developing as a balanced individual and a strong individual, because the world is tough enough sometimes. And so we need to make sure that we are demonstrating to our children, being a good role model to our children as well.
It's very true. I don't know how you grew up, but in my childhood, always my father told me, who doesn't work, don't eat. And you need to work very hard if you want to have money. And a lot of population, we are believed, if I work more, I have more money. I see that totally don't agree with this today, because today you can work smart and to work less and to make more money than you work very hard work. And for this,
I think I lost you, Natalia.
Do you think there is a place for feminine women today in the Can you listen to me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. The connection went off for a bit.
This great, for the next question. Do you think there is a place for feminine women today in the modern professional landscape? Or does working full-time necessarily make you more masculine? What is your experience with this? If you have space from feminine women today in business?
I think there's a space for everyone in business, and there should be a space for everyone. And when I say everyone, I am a big advocate and believer in diversity, particularly in diversity of thought within the technology space. And what that means is making sure that we have a good mix of genders, a good mix of cultural backgrounds, people from different age groups, people from different sexual orientations. Workplace should be an all-inclusive environment. Unfortunately, sometimes, based on my own experience as well, we often don't have this sort of inclusive environment. There is a belief or a perception in many people, not everyone, not every organization, but there is still a strong belief in the business world that the masculine characteristics, or what's perceived as masculine, are better leaders, more technical. And this is a fallacy, right? It's not true. So, and I've experienced this very much myself as well, where I've coded, I've developed, I have a very strong technical background, but because I dress feminine and I look feminine, there's sometimes a perception that, I don't know the things that I actually do know, or I'm an expert in. I've been told as well recently by one of my colleagues that, I shouldn't dress the way I dress. I like to wear suits. I like to dress up because I believe, you dress how you feel. And I was told, by dressing up or looking good, I create a distance from people, which I think is perception, and it's not entirely true. So my real advice is this: instead of thinking about it feminine, masculine, and all of that, that continues to propagate a certain belief in the business world, I think we need to think about it from a perspective of individual. Are you an individual who can perform the role? If you are the best individual for the job, what your background is, do you have the capabilities to grow? And this is what's very important. Do not try to kind of fit into a cultural environment that propagates the fallacies of perception, but really try to believe in yourself, in your capabilities, and focus on that. There might be certain environments that continue to push the fact that, you need to be masculine to be a leader. Maybe that's not the best environment to be in. And so every individual needs to make this decision for themselves. I do see oftentimes women trying to pursue this kind of masculine personality traits, or to present themselves in that way. And I think every individual has to decide. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong. I think it's your choice if that's what you want to do, and I will respect your choice. So live and let live, right? But at the end of the day, is that what makes you happy? Is that what's going to help you create a sustainable career path? So all of these things have to be your own decision, and you have to set your own boundaries in that. And I like to pick up on something you said earlier as well, Natalia. The most important and the most powerful thing that a woman can have is choice. The choice and the non-judgmental choice. I can decide if I want to pursue a career. I have the choice if I want to stay home as a mother. I have the choice if I want to, have both, or if I want to decide I don't want to have children. There should not be any judgment around the choice. The choice should be ours. And that is where feminist power comes from, when you have the choice to be whatever you want to be without judgment.
It's very, very true. I also very like to say usually that you need to have a choice. And when I make my seminars, it's always about how to discover your female energy, how to be a woman. Very often women don't have this choice. Because if you have very poor family, you don't have father, or father was alcoholic or problematic, very often girls say, I don't have choice. I must be strong. I must to work. I don't want to live so poor like my family. And you start to run to survive. And very often, if you go with this energy, you become to be very masculine, but masculine from the bad way, like a shadow of masculine. You want to survive. And what in this case, what you told and resonate to me, choice, until you run, you don't have choice. You even don't understand what you are doing. In this case, you need to go to therapist, you work with yourself, and only after this, when you clean your trauma from child, from your father, you have choice, and you can tell, I'm really wants to work so much, and I'm really wants to do what I'm doing, or I'm doing because of trauma and I'm afraid. And maybe in this case, you say, I want to be more home, I want to be more with my child. So I have a client like this. She worked 25 years in a very big career, very famous woman. And one moment when she started to work with her, she said, I did it because I must survive since I was 14. I don't have money, I live on the street. My parents don't help me at all. And when she understood many things, she said, I don't want to work. I want to spend time with my daughter because I never have time to go to the park to do normal things. And she was crying, say, today I go park, and it was the big happiness, not to be the up all the success. I want to spend time with my daughter. And it's very important to find your choice, not through trauma, through when you really have a choice. Choice is a very, very, very strong word, very strong. Because a lot of you, when you saw our interview, you even don't understand that at the moment you don't have choice. And what Kamales, you told that it's so important, at the moment when you will allow yourself to have really choice, your life will change. Next question, which I would like to say, there has been new data published that suggested that after 2030, over 45% of women over 30 will be single and childless. Why is that? What is anything we could stop it? Because a lot of women today are single, a lot, especially successful, strong women. A lot of children go to try to find a donor from her child, even though make partnership. And statistics that it's worse and worse is that 45% of women will single. What do you think about this?
This is I mean, I'm obviously not the expert in this type of research, but I'm curious because if that is a research that indicates that women don't have the choice to be married and decide to pursue a career, to stay single, pursue a career because they can't fulfill themselves in their other sides in terms of having a partner and so on, that would be concerning for me. If it is the individual woman's choice that I don't want to have a family, I don't want to have kids, I just want to pursue a career, good on them, right? This is if you decide in this direction, you can, I'm happy that you're deciding in this direction. If it's something where you feel I don't have a choice or have to choose between, and I do hear this quite a lot, coming in from Asia, growing up in Asia, having a family was kind of, it's understood, you have to marry, you have to have a family. There was almost a societal pressure for women to, so it's kind of the opposite of Europe where you have to marry. After a certain age, you have to be married or you have to have kids, right? I grew up in an environment, you mentioned earlier that your father says if you don't eat, you don't work. I grew up in an environment where everyone around me told me, the biggest expectation for me was I need to be married and I have to marry well. So this was something, whereas I have an older brother and for him, it was more around studies, career, and so on. For me, it was just about making sure I was married. I broke away from this and created a new dynamic in my family. But I think if this is something where, in Europe, I hear a lot about this from other women, from women who are junior to me as well, I have to choose between having a career and having a family because it's too difficult. And this surprised me when I came to Europe because there is a certain challenge or barrier when you decide to have children. Childcare is not as easy as it is in Asia, right? Quite frankly. So setting yourself up in childcare is far more expensive here. The times, the systems, the structures built around families, it's much more, it's harder for women to go into a professional environment and build a career. It's harder to focus. We do naturally, it's just, it's not negative or positive, but naturally women do take on more in the family environment in terms of responsibility than men do. Even in the most equal environment, if you are a mother and a child is sick, 9 out of 10 times your child will look for the mom and not the dad. It's just nature. And so these sort of environments are fairly challenging to manage. And I can imagine it's not so easy for everyone to face these challenges and to deal with them. It takes a lot out of you. And then you kind of lose that time for self-care because you're giving yourself up so much to other people. So if it is because of these challenges that women are deciding, I'm going to stay single, then it would be concerning because that means whether you are aware of it or not, your choice is being taken away from you to have what you want. We do see this on an international level as well. We're seeing some of the top female leaders resigning from their roles, quoting the fact that they had enough or they're not able to give more. And this would be concerning for me as well. Why is the business environment taking out so much from individuals that they see the only option is to leave? Can we build organizations that support diversity a little bit more, that support different lifestyles or structures? My personal advice is to design a life around you that fits for your style, fits for your beliefs and values and what you want to have. Because when when you're older and you were retired, what you remember of your life is not going to be the business side of things, right? It's going to be a holistic memory of what you've done in your life. And you need to make sure that you can achieve that holistic outcome as well. And so I've always worked towards designing a life that fits me. When I'm in an environment where I feel it doesn't align with me, and you can always know this, and you probably talk about this as well, Natalia, with people that you work with. There's always a feeling of connect or disconnect. And if you go silent and listen to that feeling, you will understand that I'm connected here and I'm happy here and I need to be here, or I'm disconnected, something's not working. And your intuition, especially women's intuition, is strong, and we are able to recognize this. So listen to yourself, see if you are connected or disconnected to where you are today, and try to figure out where you think you should be or where you feel you should be, and design the life around you. I've worked very hard to design a life that works for me. When I say design a life, I mean choosing how and when and where and what kind of work I do. And I appreciate not everyone is able to do that straight away, but look at how you can go about doing this. And I just want to add one more thing. In today's technology environment, it's very, very possible to create alternative sources of income, right? So you can create, there's so many opportunities out there to create kind of side gigs, income and things like that. And the reason I mention this is because financial independence is a key factor that allows you to have choice. And so look into wealth management, look into investing in stocks and shares. You don't need a lot to do that. 100, 200, even whatever amount you can afford goes a long way if you start investing it today. There's so much information out there to increase your knowledge around, free information, to increase your knowledge and learning around how to build wealth. And so focus on creating financial independence so that you can develop your choice or your ability to choose.
How I'm totally agree with you. I'm cry when women financially depend of men. I'm very believe in financial independence. It doesn't mean that you need to be bigger than your man and you need to be compete with him. No, but you need to have your financial independence. Only in this way you have choice. You're totally right. For me, it was very big point because in my first marriage, always my husband take care about me. Financial. In one moment, I told it's not correct. I want to have my money. And I want to do what make me passion and make me feel happy. Here, very, again, important balance. For example, with me, I never, ever will do something if it's only money, but I don't enjoy it. For me, I always loyalty to myself, to my values. And for me, I think it's important women to be loyal to yourself. You never do it only because it's money, but to develop how you told, and can be stocks, can be many different ways. And you're totally agree with you when today with internet, it's so much opportunity. You can make so alternative way to make money. I wrote my book about female entrepreneur, how to be female entrepreneur, because it's different rules which make how men make business and how women make business. It's a very big difference. We are not competitors. We like to support each other. We like to be partnership. Like today we make this interview because if you're in female energy, you're partnered with other women. You care about other women and you want other women to be happy. You don't make this who has biggest ball. We don't man. And always through supporting each other, we grow up. I very believe in female support, and all my life I always work with women and support women. Women support me, and I'm very appreciative today from your time and from this really especially conversation. It's I see feedback of people. Thank you to follow us. It really was very deep and in the key point exactly. And you give very good example, and you are right that you need to make what you want about your priority. Always when we engage, I say you need to understand what you want. And around yourself, you build your world. You choose partner who is feasible to your dreams. Your children choose mother like you because they need mother like you. You don't need to sacrifice and to refuse your career or something else if you don't feel it. Oh, how you told correct, very about intuition. To feel yourself, to be loyal to yourself, to be connected with yourself, and then you can have your choice. Thank you a lot from this conversation. It was a big pleasure for me and from people who follow us. I wish you very, very good luck to be inspiration from many women in this world. Let's inspire each other. And if you would like to say in the end to our meeting, to ladies.
Thank you so much for having me, Natalia. This was really a pleasure. And I hope that, if ladies are interested, they can connect with me online as well.
Thank you
so much.